Sam walked through the large concourse pointing. "Kill all. I want these berths evacuated. We do not know yet what kind of situation they have aboard." Sam turned so he could see the 4 air through his helmet visor. "I want quarantine tents erected here. No one gets into the station without being cleared by you." The leader of the air tilted its head down. "We will be thorough." Sam waved over a cluster of SFP. "I want you with the air, but do not bring any more clusters. I want to limit exposure." "We will do as you say, Sam," the starfish persons answered. Curator walked faster and strode up beside Sam. "You ready for this?" Sam nodded and tapped his fragger with his right hand. "Let's go kick some doors." Sam and Curator walked down the gangway tube to the door to the Kawaru ship. The air had finished setting up the quick pull tents, and a defensive perimeter had been established by station officers. Sam spoke into his helmet mic. "Orbit, put me through to Twada." He looked at Curator. "Did I say that right?" She shrugged. "That is an ethics question. You miss so many subtle tones in everything you say, I have no idea how you are even able to communicate with anyone on this station." "Ha!" Sam chuckled. "Ethics?" She nodded. "It is up to their code of ethics and mannerisms to whether and what extent they forgive your mispronunciations." She smiled her silver grin. "Let's hope they don't come out blasting." "Hello!" a translated voice called over the channel. "Is this the Sam of Twain station?" "Yes. I am Sam." He motioned for Curator to be ready. "We are on the other side of your hatch. We are armed. We are not entirely certain as to your situation. I've been informed you do not have a full digital program suite. Is that correct?" Sam looked at the metal door, shimmering with a tinge of red, held in place by dark root-like ribbons spreading out and away through the hull. "That is correct. Our ship is Gree. We want to save our Gree. The infection is isolated to several sections. We will need help to save it. You said you would offer help." Sam looked at Curator, mouthing Gree. She shrugged again. "We are ready to assist. Open the hatch when you are able," Sam said. The red-tinged hatch parted from the hull. A hiss of air entered the airlock. 10 creatures stepped out and Sam backed up. They were in airsuits, were bipedal, had an ovoid body, and a head that sat atop a neck. From the center of the head was a metal cylinder, and on either side Sam could see 2 black beady eyes through protective glass. Sam motioned for the creatures to head up the gangway. They passed by him slowly, only coming up to his waist. Curator led the way. Sam sat on the other side of the tent. The 10 new visitors had their suits off and were using Infinigan breathers. Sam watched as the air scanned their bodies, and Curator asked them questions. After doing her surveys, Curator walked over to Sam. "So far the air have detected no pathological problem. However, what they are describing is a peri situation." "They have parasites on board?" "They call them the Golok, sir, and yes, I think they do." "They have a name for them. Did they know more?" Curator nodded, a dour look on her face. "Yes, their world is besieged. They escaped via rift space and homed in our beacon." Sam thought for a moment. "All right. We know the threat. We can do this then. We need Perry down here. Maybe he can talk sense into them." "Sir, what if the opposite happens?" "We will be armed to the teeth, prepared for that eventuality." Sam stood up. "And this Gree thing they are talking about?" Curator tilted her head. "There is a reason they know of the parasites." Sam looked at her quizzically. "They said that the Gree found their people and helped them go to new worlds. They helped the Gree get materials, and the Gree bind the materials into a ship." Curator pointed toward the ship out the thick window, red metal covered in dark lines. "The Gree, it seems, is a glue that is holding that ship together. They want us to rescue its heart or eye or something. Their translation databank was lacking on more refined terms." "And why do they know the parasites?" Sam asked. "The Gree and the Golok are like you and chimpanzees. They share a common origin point. One learned to infest materials and work it, the other flesh." Sam walked over to the door. He nodded to the officers to let him through, and he stepped out into the concourse. "Orbit, you copy all that?" "Of course, sir. Curator and I don't have secrets." "Get everyone armed up. Tell Perry of the situation, see what he wants to do. I respect his decision, but let him know if he comes and poses a threat, I will put him down. Yes, sir. Relaying information now. Orbit? Yes, sir. Do you have the outer turrets aimed at that ship? Should I not, sir? Sam looked back toward the window. Anything moves funny, make it stop moving. Understood. Sam started walking toward the doors to the outer ring. There were some new guns Spitzlittle had made that he was ready to field test. Sam and Curator led a team of 10 assorted armored officers. Kill-All and Hislips led Team 2. Sam held a wedge-shaped energy weapon with both hands, aiming it down the hall. The space was tight. Given the Kawaru were half Sam's size, he had to bend to keep his head from hitting the ceiling. Sam touched a large root-like fiber running down the hall, it having branches that curled around floor and ceiling. They gave you a map? Curator nodded. They drew out a crude one. The Greek Corps should be down this way. Sam looked at the 2 Infinigan troops in the rear. Keep ready. Weapons are a go, and if you see anything, let everyone around you know. Do not get taken. The 2 Infinigan nodded their heads in human fashion. Sam led the group to a T-cross. One hall led a short ways to a door. Curator pointed down the longer hallway. Sam pointed at the closer door. Let's clear that room. I don't want anything sneaking up on us. Sam started toward the door and spoke to Orbit. Orbit, any word from Perry? Yes, sir. He is at the quarantine tent now. He will stay there and await your instructions. Did he think he could do anything about the parasites on board? He said he could feel them, sir. He said he felt a higher sense of violence than he was accustomed to and preferred to stay and help the air. Fuck. All right. Keep everyone appraised of the situation. Will do, sir. Sam walked up to the door. He triggered the opening electronics. The door spiraled open. Inside, 4 of the Kiwi-like Kawaru stood up. Sam spoke to them. We do not mean any harm. We are here looking for survivors. Are any of you injured? The 4 short, beady-eyed creatures hopped closer. Sam could see the threads running between them. They saw him notice and leapt. Burn 'em. Sam and the officers pulled triggers. A rainbow of heat, light, and vapors washed over the 4 deceased Kawaru. The parasites within cooked, and they fell limp, charred. Sam stepped into the room. It was a sleeping quarters. The things had been feeding. Sam poked one with his boot, turning it over. The bicuspid beak was burnt open. A small black lump with tendrils edged out, limply. Sam pulled the trigger again, scorching it. Curator? Curator finished her sweep of the room. Nothing else alive in here, sir. Only bits they didn't care to use or eat. Sam walked out of the bunk room. He patted a grazer on the shoulder. Good shooting. That goes for all of you. Targets down, friendlies up. Let's keep that trend going. He started down the longer hallway. Kill-All status. Sam spoke over the cross-channel. Encountered hostiles. Hostiles down, but they were using projectile weaponry. I have 1 injured. We cleared 7 rooms, but are taking her back to the tent. We will continue sweep after drop-off. All right, keep me posted, Sam said as he neared the far door. Curator stepped forward. This should be the room with the Gree we need to rescue. Sam looked at her. I hope there is something left to rescue. He touched the door activator. It spiraled open, revealing a large circular red-lit room. He stepped in. The dark branches from all over the ship coalesced into thick trunks, all leading to the center of the room. There, Sam saw a thick core of branches encircling an eye as big as his head. It stared at him, red, with a black concentric rings. Sam looked over his shoulder at the officers. Keep your eyes open and shut that door behind you. He then walked over to the tree-like creature in the center of the room. Are you the Gree that controls this ship? Air holes throughout the tree-like structures hissed. Sam's mics picked up the sounds, and Orbit on the fly translated based off the Kawaru's language packs. The Galak are locked in the mess hall. Many Kawaru still live and are alive in cargo bay. Sam nodded. Orbit, you copy that? Yes, sir. Orders. After Kill-All drops the injured, I want him to get the survivors to safety. Have him bring the spare burners for the Kawaru. They are made for Infinigan. Their hands are about the same size. He's informed, sir, and you? We are going to deal with this thing here and then clear out the lunchroom. Is Team 3 ready? Sam asked. Yes. Orbit replied, Send them to meet us at the lunch hall, and have Perry thinned down to 2 bodies and go with them. Yes, sir. Sam looked back into the tree's eye. So you are the Gree? It blinked, and the branches hissed. Yes, I am Gree. Are you injured? How can we help? Ship is damaged. I am infected. Galak are binding. A bulbous branch unfurled from the core on the ceiling. It lowered down in front of Sam. Take my seeds. Take my kawaru. Then I will go. I will detonate. Sam looked at the unfurling living sack. Inside were 4 baseball-sized brown orbs. Sam looked at the Gree. We have a friendly Galak. It may be able to help. You have a runt. It is feeble. It is weak. Galak consume the weak, bind them. They will bind yours, as I am being bound. Sam looked at Curator. Thoughts? Curator tilted her head close to him. Orbit is running through the Preserver's data logs on Perry. The info he's looking at matches what this tree is saying. Sam spoke over the communal channel. Everyone, course correction. We will leave the mess hall alone. Perry is to remain on Twain. Do not enter the ship. We will rescue the remaining Kawaru and scuttle the ship. Killall answered back. Understood. I have third party standing down. Perry is being escorted to the brig for protection. Sam nodded and looked at the Gree. You sure there is no other way? I'm infested! You must hurry! My flesh is burning. They will break me soon. I will keep doors that need shut. Shut! The Gree said. Sam looked at the large red eye. Will the Kawaru know what to do with these seeds? My seeds will know how to take care of the Kawaru. Sam nodded and reached in, grabbing the orbs. Curator knelt down. A chamber opened in her back. Sam placed the 4 seeds inside her. Godspeed, Gree. Sam spun his hand around in the air. Everyone started out the door. Sam stood with Smell in the atrium, staring out into the dark. A light flashed, like a shrinking strobe light. Sam patted the sack containing the seeds on his hip. Do your people know of the Galak? The serpent spoke without moving. The Galak stay away from the Great Arm. They may seem feral dumb, but they are not. There are worlds out there dying to them. Are your people helping? Sam asked. There are always worlds dying. The natural state of the universe is silence. The Galak are a natural component of that. Sam looked over at Smell. So fuck them. Fuck everyone that's not you or your councilman. The white serpent turned its head, focusing its eyes on Sam. Your words are odd, but I understand. Do not assume that I am here because I respect you. I'm here because you are an aberration and you need investigated. The way you think is not normal. We ignore them because that is what should be done. You should be more concerned about why you keep caring about all these simple creatures you collect. Sam walked away from the Churi and entered the elevator. Orbit? Yes, sir? What are your thoughts on the Scribbler's work? Sam asked. The Clouder Accords seem well thought out. I think it could work. Sam sighed and breathed in deep. Inform all the eligible species to assign me a delegate. We will meet at 23 o'clock. The bank meeting room should be large enough. Yes, sir. Notices are sent. Thank you, Orbit. The doors opened, and Sam exited into a misty hall leading away toward his suite. The boardroom was full. Sapiens had to move aside to let Sam through to the last vacant chair at the head of the table. He sat down and looked around the room. Grak had been elected the Craddock representative and was seated with 5 other Craddock, including Killall, standing behind it. Baoa had been selected for the Grazers, and 2 of her sisters were with her. The Preserver was seated at the far end, and a floating tray of scribblers hovered beside him. A cluster of SFP were scattered through the room, as were 3 Fuimos. A hologram of an ocean grower, vastly smaller than actual size, lit upon a bench. One of the heir stood next to the floating Fuimos. Heckletooth, daughter of Crackletooth, was chosen as the representative of the Infinigan, and 24 of her kinfolk were dotted in the crowd. 3 hagfish stood to Sam's right, their open maws staring at him. A herd of obelisks stood in the corner with several of Guachuk's people, hovering in tubes right beside them. Twada of the Kawaru was seated on the table, with 3 others of his refugee family. Greenfeet was chosen representative for the Felbians. On Sam's left was a gapped area surrounding 3 of the hosts containing Perry. Asterion towered behind the Craddock. Sam pulled a gavel out of his belt pouch. He hit the table, sending a recognition flinch through the crowd. "Hello, everyone. You have all read the accord the scribblers drafted, or you wouldn't be here." Sam took a breath. "First issue to be agreed here is the Statute of Sovereignty. We here are declaring this as a communal territory or a clouder. It will be governed by each species' chosen representative, with humans electing their member to be acting president. Do those present agree?" A series of species-specific affirmations rounded the table. Sam nodded. "Good. We have a governing body then." Sam looked at the display Orbit was feeding his arm, HUD. The Bill of Rights. First, every citizen of the Twain Clouder will have freedom of speech, assembly, petition, and religion. Second, every citizen is allowed weaponry to defend themselves in Clouder territory. Third, every citizen is allowed the capacity to conduct trade. 4, every citizen has the right to privacy and to purchase a home for themselves. 5, the right to due process of law, freedom from self-incrimination, and double jeopardy. 6, the right to a speedy trial by jury. 7, the right to procreation without injury to others. Sam looked over at the preserver with a sour look. He then read the next one. 8, the right of immigration. Each species can facilitate immigration of their own kind so long as respect of interspecies law and space is facilitated. 9, each species will hold themselves accountable for their own laws. But when laws are breached between species, human law will take effect. 10, we can expand our nation's holdings through peaceful purchase and a passing Senate vote. Sam lowered his arm and looked around. "Do we all agree?" The preserver raised one of his hands. "My main trade is cloning. You have stated that I must have your permission to clone creatures. How does that coordinate with the right to conduct trade?" Sam looked over to the scribblers and nodded. One of the scribblers opened a display on the tray. Section 146D. There are 10 paragraphs pertaining exactly to what you can and can't do. Read it, be familiar. Go through the political channels and you shouldn't have issue. Sam smiled. "I am averse to it, but it is no longer solely my decision. Your creations, I must admit, have saved not only me but this entire station. This will be a learning experience for all of us. Any other things needing brought up?" Grack hit the table. "This is a good thing. We give our yes." The Craddock growled in excitement and confirmation. Heckletooth bobbed her ears. "The Infinigan vote yes, no quarrel." Sam looked around. Signs of yes were signaled. "Then we have ratified our rights, and we are declaring ourselves sovereign." Sam looked at Heckletooth and then around the room. "I have 3 topics I would like to bring forth to the Senate then." Sam waited, and the room gave agreement for him to continue. Sam looked at his display and read what he had prepared. First is our current acquisition of a previously box spider-infested planet. Curator has begun the process of making it habitable. Once the deal is complete, and it is owned by Twain Station, I petition for the planet Sparrow to be added to our nation's holdings. Sam looked around. Yeas were given. Orbit rang through everyone's speakers. Order for new territory of Sparrow passed. Sam nodded, and looked back down to read. My second topic is defense. We have a police force, and they have proven invaluable to protecting the station. And we have numerous Craddock patrols guarding our shipping lanes. But I wish to create a military for our Clouder. Sam looked around. I have had Orbit and the scribblers draft what our military would be defined as and their capabilities. Numerous conventions from Earth have been included to state what we would and would not do. Please look over them before giving any form of confirmation. The room shifted as members opened up the files and began reading. Sam looked across to the door at Curator standing outside. He nodded. She went away and returned with an Irish coffee for him. He smiled as he saw Dam and Shineless waiting outside in the lobby. They waved at him. Sam was halfway through the drink when Greyfwack, the TubeWeb representative, addressed the room. The funding for this. You ask for donation? I think it would be significantly underfunded. I think it should be a tax. Sam shook his head. I don't think it should be a tax. I see the need for a military and have allocated funds of my own for it already. Some here do not have spare funds, and I do not expect them to take food from their own mouths to put to war efforts. My world has seen numerous wars, and when war comes, everyone gives all they can with no question. It is only when tyrants rule that war is deemed a taxable necessity, and I do not want us to become tyrannical. Greyfwack shifted in her tube. It was translated in Sam's comm as her being irritated at the notion. Sam thought for a moment. We can start a bond program and make a capitalistic entity as outlined. If we prove capable, we could lease ourselves across the rimhole as mercenaries. What say you? Greyfwack spoke through her tube speakers. I have heard Orbit mention your world's military-industrial complex. It was a driving factor in your species development, and was quite profitable, correct? Sam nodded. Still is. War is one of the primary drives of my species. Destruction requires a vast amount of creation, and creation is industry. Greyfwack clicked the yay button in her tube. We vote yes to having a standing military. Grack looked at the fellow Craddock. They all lifted their chins. The Craddock vote yes. We will support the military. Spitzlittle leaned over and whispered into Heckletooth's ear. Heckletooth raised her hand. We support the motion. We will donate. The Infinigans stomped their feet in unison, creating a rhythm. We will not cower. We will not rot. The Infinigan will make. The Infinigan will fight. The table felt it. Yeas were issued, and a standing military was voted for unanimously. Sam stood up. The third motion concerns many parties here. He looked over at the Kawaru. The homeworld of one of our member species is under attack. Our intel is limited. We only just now approved even having a military, but I want to petition the Senate to assist the Kawaru. Parry stepped forward. You mean fighting my kind? Sam looked at the multi-bodied creature. I mean, save as many Kawaru and Gree as possible. If we can avoid fighting, I would prefer it, but they are dying. Parry looked over at Toyada. It takes considerable willpower to fight the drives to consume. I coach my young continuously on it. We have learned to control it, to stop it in ourselves. But it takes empathy. Parry focused its sets of eyes on Sam. It takes thought and concentration to live at peace as we do here. I do not think my people would let you take the Kawaru without a fight. Sam nodded. I do not think they will either. Parry looked around the table. I have hurt many on this station. It is with my empathy that I will commit myself and my children to the fight to make amends for what is happening to the Kawaru. The Golok of Twain shall fight. Tuada spoke up. We are few, but we will aid in any way possible to save our people. Heckletooth stood up, stomping her foot. Her kin took up her beat, as did the Kratuk. Baoa stood. The SFP clapped their tendrilled hands. The ocean grower bellowed through the hologram. A scribbler on the tray raised a spear and spoke in English. We hold our weapons high to fight the night. We raise our spears and fight for right. Be it death or glory that we shall find, let our spilled blood be the blood that binds. The room echoed the words. The blood that binds. The thrum of appendages harmonizing filled Sam's ears. Sam clicked on the display and sent the motion out. The motion for humanitarian assistance for the Kawaru was passed. The meeting was adjourned. The members left back to their habitats and dormitories. Sam stepped out and was greeted by Dam and Shineless. Dam patted his brother on the shoulder. We heard the commotion. Sam, full of emotion in his voice, replied, Yeah, we have a people here and we might be getting everyone killed shortly. Shineless hugged him. We might be getting everyone saved. We don't know yet. Sam hugged her back. Dam smiled. You need to finalize the Sparrow deal. Sam nodded and let Shineless go. Yup,